This is The Great Outdoors with Jason White, exploring the great outdoors in Pennsylvania and beyond. Brought to you by the Mariana Outdoorsmen Association and by Wild Acres Farm, Fishery, and Regulated Hunting Grounds. Now, The Great Outdoors with Jason White.
Hello, friends. I'm Jason White. Welcome to The Great Outdoors. Certainly a pretty cool day compared to yesterday. It's actually quite warmer. It's pretty frigid, but hope all is well. Glad to be back here. Before I dive into the topics for today, I want to give a special thanks to our sponsors, the Mariana Outdoorsmen Association. You can join the MOA today at marianaoutdoors.com. Again, marianaoutdoors.com. You get the remainder of this year for free, and you get it all of the next calendar year. Again, marianaoutdoors.com. Wild Acres Farm, Fishery, Regulated Hunting Grounds. If you're interested in a free-ranging whitetail deer hunt, free-ranging spring turkey hunt, guided trout fishing trip. If you're interested in any type of corporate events and fundraisers, we offer continental pheasant hunts, which are tremendous fundraising opportunities. So if you're looking for something that's kind of unique and out of the box, doesn't need a ton of people to participate, can have as little as 12. You can have upwards of 70 people. But yeah, if you're looking for unique and out-of-the-box ideas, even for fundraising, we'd be happy to have you and help your cause. Weddings and shooting events, you kind of name it, we got a little bit of everything. Or if you're just looking to get away for a few days and stay at the Wild Acres Farm, check us out. 724-579-0924 is the phone number. And you can check us out on online at 10mileco.org. Again, that's TENMILECO.org. And I just want to say that both the Mariana Outdoorsmen Association and Wild Acres Farm, Fishery, and Regulated Hunting Grounds are available on social media, being Facebook, Instagram, and also there's a MOA Outdoor channel, YouTube channel. And last but not least, I want to give special thanks to Washington County Tourism and Promotion Agency. Please visit Washington County, Pennsylvania. Some upcoming events for the Mariana Outdoorsmen Association. Already had 2 trout stockings, which were fantastic. Water levels are slowly coming up here in southwestern PA. We certainly need some more rain. That's for sure. I know certain areas of even western and southwestern PA have gotten higher volumes and quantities of rain, but I know where I'm at certainly could use some more. But I can definitely tell now that the leaves are coming down, water levels and groundwater is definitely rising, so we're headed in a very good and positive direction there, so I'm really happy about that. But looking ahead, trout stocking number 3 is December the 15th at 9 a.m. That's a Monday. We actually kind of switched this year. We used to do our stockings in the afternoon. Just feel like we get a lot more participation. There's a nice volume of people that show up and want to help. So we're going to continue that. Try different things, right? So Monday, December 15th, 9 a.m., we'll have trout stocking number 3. I'm really looking forward to that after PA rifle season concludes. And then we will be stocking again Monday, January the 5th. That'll be at 9 a.m. And then we have Saturday, January 17th. We will be having a continental pheasant hunt. That's a fundraiser for the Mariana Outdoorsmen Association, $250 a person. So if you're interested in a continental pheasant hunt, check us out. And then throughout the remainder of the winter and spring, we have numerous other trout stockings listed monthly. We also have our one-day fly fishing tournament, which is March the 7th. We have our Saturday, March 28th Sportsman's Bash. That's located at 19 North Event Venue in Washington, PA. And last but not least, we have the MOA 3rd Annual PA Trout Classic. We have fishermen basically for 2.5 days that get to fish all the MOA waters and catch huge fish. And it's a great time. It's a fun time, and people have a blast. So certainly looking forward to having everybody at all these upcoming events, stockings, and I'm sure that we will be adding other events along the way. I wanted to talk a little bit today, a couple different items. I wanted to start off with it's PA archery season right now. It's a great time to be in the woods. If you're an avid hunter or if you're looking to get into it, you're probably not going to have a better opportunity to harvest an antlered whitetail buck than the remaining period here over, I guess it'd be like a week and a half of archery season. The deer are chasing. It's rut season. Rut season is when the bucks are chasing the does to reproduce. I've been monitoring the deer pretty regularly here. They're on the move. I was blessed this past week to harvest the buck myself. Was targeting a specific buck. Didn't end up getting him. I had kind of 3 that were on my radar. I guess you would say I got the smaller of the 3, but he's still a really, really mature, I'm going to say 4.5, 5.5-year-old deer. He's over 130 inches. Really, really a good quality deer. Really pleased with it. But that being said, the other 2 bucks I was harvesting, with my family schedule and I guess work and everything else in between, sometimes you don't always get the buck you want. Sometimes you gotta pick those other things first. So had a great opportunity. I hunted I think 4 days. Saw this fella on day 4. Passed up a bunch of bucks on the prior days, which was certainly a blessing. But that being said, had an opportunity to him at 20 yards. Was able to seal the deal. Didn't go probably 50 yards, and got to experience that and share those memories with my family. And it was really a blessing. Anytime you get to be in the woods, like I how would I describe this to you? Like, on a personal note, I love the process of hunting. Like, it's something that I think is fulfilling. If that's the right way to say it, it's very fulfilling. I love the opportunity to put the work in through the entire year, whether that be the habitat, stand locations, stand installations, cutting your shooting lanes, trail cameras, minerals in the summer, practicing shooting your bow, practice shooting your rifle, and then just obviously being out there and being one with nature. But I don't know, the days I was out archery hunting this year were really special. I don't know if it's just my age, or I guess I'm just maybe appreciating things a little bit better, but it was just really fulfilling. Colors of the trees, just the smell of the woods, watching the different wildlife, bucks chasing the does, which was always really cool. I got to see some bucks sparring a little bit, which was really cool to see as well. But just for me, it's that entire process. And when you are able to be successful at the end of it and put on a really good archery shot and obviously get the harvest, that to me is special. That's what it's all about. It's about a collective process, right? It's about the entire experience. And the whole goal, right, is to be successful. But to be successful, you have to, as I've talked about on many, many episodes, you have to do the little things throughout the entire year. Can you, I guess, pick up your bow or your gun and shoot it a couple times, and theoretically, could you go out and be successful? Yeah, it's probably possible, and I'm sure people do it. Does it happen that often? Probably not. I would say the strategies and methods I try to convey to everybody, to teach and to just share how I've been successful. These are things that I've been taught, and I've been taught by my mentors, and I've learned along the way. But it's been successful. So if you listen to any of my old episodes or even through this, like if you put the time in and you do the little things and you do a good job scouting and you do a good job of knowing and understanding your trails and understanding your travel corridors, understanding where your food sources are at, making sure your equipment's proper, making sure you've practiced, making sure you've done all of these things. These are all extremely important, extremely critical, and it's what you have to do to be successful. And if you do that, the outdoors is much more rewarding. So for me, it was awesome. I'm certainly hoping that some other people I'm going to be guiding, I'm really excited for them. I'm hoping that people are going to have some success stories to share, because I think there's some other great deer running the landscape here in southwestern Pennsylvania. So I'm really looking forward not only to the folks that I'm going to be taking, but also I think there's looking forward to seeing all the success stories that are going to be shared across Pennsylvania and beyond. So I've already been seeing a lot of great bucks harvested, which is awesome. And we'll see. Time will tell. It's going to be a pretty cool hunting season. And we'll see where things kind of go. But I'll keep you posted, because I'm looking forward to my upcoming journeys here with my hunters that I'm going to be taking. And certainly I look forward to hearing some other stories here in Southwest PA. I got a call from a good friend of mine last night, and one of his family members got a absolute gnarly buck. And that's awesome. So, but with that being said, I wanted to kind of shift gears from deer hunting to some health issues that have arose and I've heard be discussed around the topic of deer ticks. And after I harvested my buck, I was transporting the deer, and long story short, I was gutting it, cleaning it out, and I was like, man, there are a ton of ticks on this deer. I didn't get a full count, but it had to have been 100. And I'm not exaggerating. It was kind of amazing to me how many ticks were on this deer. But then I started thinking about it, because I've said before that I felt the overpopulation of deer certainly had a major contributing factor to the spread of ticks and Lyme disease. But then the other reason that this kind of came up in my head is I was at a Farm Bureau meeting I believe I was in Fulton County, and there was two people there, a gentleman, there was a lady from the county that her and I guess one of her family members had gotten Lyme disease, and it had been an extremely detrimental situation to her. And then she was kind of conveying those stories there, so I was very sympathetic and felt terrible for what they were going through. And then the other thing was I had somebody in Greene County that was butchering deer and ended up getting a tick bite and, had some health implications of it. So, like, they don't actually do butchering anymore. Why I bring this up is, for me, there is absolutely, to see the landscape of deer, to see deer literally browsing in people's flower beds, to see deer bedded in backyards. I mean, let's do the math here. Like, the buck that I shot had over 100 ticks on it. So if that deer would have bedded in, like, say, my backyard, which deer do, a couple of those ticks fall off, guess what? You go to let your pets out the next morning. There's a risk and a chance that You know, they could pick one up. Next thing you know, it comes back in a house. It's either on the animal, or next thing you know, it falls off and it, you know, falls onto your children. I certainly think that there's more discussions that need to be had when we talk about deer management and wildlife management as a whole. And I think that this deer tick topic is certainly something I don't think has gotten enough credence, or it's not gotten enough attention. But being that I've heard the complaints, excuse me, I've heard the complaints and I've heard the concerns about it. And then I've seen it in the past, but I guess I never really, my brain wasn't really like fixated on it. But then to hear people bring it up as such a concerning issue. And then through my life, I've heard countless other people that had gotten Lyme's disease from deer ticks. But I just wasn't really dissecting the issue. But as I've been involved with Farm Bureau, I would say it's really opened my eyes up that it's a much bigger issue. But then I started connecting the dots, and it's like, well, okay. I already knew people were getting Lyme's disease before years ago. I knew this for a fact. And then finding out that it's such a bigger, broader concern, and there's so many more health implications. And then obviously now I'm like looking for it, and I'm kind of being conscientious of it. And then you're seeing, like, literally when I harvest a deer, the astronomical amount of ticks that they're carrying. I think the thing that this really highlights is that now you have a landscape where a few things I would say. We certainly have, I don't want to say the entire state of Pennsylvania, but there are hot spots. Southwestern Pennsylvania is absolutely a hot spot. I mean, I've seen pictures where there were 100 deer in a field. That was in California, PA, down around the intermediate unit, the business park there. Have a friend that had a soybean field, and that field just utterly got devastated. But what we got to consider here is that, okay, if I'm telling you there's a deer with 100 ticks on it, and we have a field with 100 deer, do the math. You have thousands and thousands and thousands of ticks that are just being carried, and they're obviously spreaders of disease, and can cause you tremendous negative health impacts. So when we talk about deer management, it's very critical to understand that managing deer and managing wildlife is critical to your own health. Because if these animals are carrying these ticks, and they're in your communities, and they're around your homes, and they're within, obviously, travel distance, there's clearly a concern that you could be bit, or your animals could pick them up and be bit, so on and so forth. I've seen a lot of animals that have actually died from Lyme's disease or had a lot of health issues. My mom actually had a golden retriever and had tremendous negative health implications because of Lyme's disease. So how do we resolve it? Well, we now are pretty well acknowledging we have a problem. I think that there's a couple things to discuss. Number one, how do we manage the issue? Well, one, I think, is first and foremost is we have to manage wildlife. The deer numbers in certain parts of the state are out of control, and they have to be put back into balance. That's number one. Seeing 100 deer in a field, I mean, come on. Like, there's no reason, there's no excuse. Like, that shouldn't be that way. We have to just come back to grip reality here that we've mismanaged our resources, and wildlife is obviously a resource. The landscape therein, but too many deer Too many deer in certain parts of the state, which obviously have a correlating impact with Lyme disease. I think there's another, I would say it probably is a controversial discussion, but I'm actually pro baiting. I know I've said this before. I think it's more of a cultural thing as opposed to, because I mean, let's face the realities. People are doing it right now. It's kind of almost like prohibition. Like it was happening back in the early 1900s, and baiting even right now happens. Go to all the stores here in Pennsylvania, and there's bait all over the shelves. I mean, where the heck do you think? What do you think they're doing with it? I mean, come on, are we that naive? But that being said, I think I raised the question: is there an opportunity to put bait out that could have, could potentially help? I don't want to say inoculate, but kind of like how there's dog food and cat food that is medicated that kills, fleas and ticks. Is something like that an opportunity? I don't know. I don't know. My gut tells me yes, but I don't know that we've really looked at that lens and said, hey, could this help resolve this solution? So for me, the no-brainer approach is to better manage the deer and get the deer in check. The out-of-the-box idea is to figure out a way that baiting deer could also help potentially inoculate, or could potentially be some type of medication opportunity to help address ticks, and I guess would also be any other carried like fleas. I don't know that that's on a grand scale feasible, but I think that that's certainly an interesting topic, an interesting discussion. Clearly that works with other animals, doesn't cause them any negative health implications. I know that, there's oral medicines, there's topical. Clearly if somebody had a deer farm, they'd be able to put topical medicines, or if you had any type of deer farm as a whole, whether that's, deer, whitetails, whether that's elk, whether that's mule deer, so on and so forth. There's a lot of other species that fall underneath the cervid category. But yeah, if you had a deer farm, absolutely putting topical on an animal just like you would a dog or cat is absolutely doable. Out in the natural landscape, this is where I bring up about the baiting idea. An oral, some type of food that could inoculate those particular pests. It's worth conversation, because I think we're at a point now where it is so bad, so extreme. The deer populations are so out of control. It's worth having a conversation, because even like I'm saying, like even if you're in these high traffic communities, these deer are literally bedding in people's yards. These deer are literally coming up and eating around the landscape of the house. These are certainly areas that are very, very concerning, that you do not want ticks, in people's backyards, pets, etc. So these are all major concerns. And I think that we have to be thinking about it. We have to be talking about these things, and we have to be formulating solutions. So for me, I think it goes without saying that we have to better manage the deer herd. Clearly, the contributing change in habitat has also fed the increase in deer populations. So many farms are closing up, and you're basically, you have more hobby farms than you probably have high yield production farms. A lot of factors go with that. I've talked a lot about economic development, but again, it's fascinating how the economy, and I would say our structures and how we're set up for business, how that can have negative implications when it comes to wildlife and the spread of disease. I certainly don't want to see, I don't care if it's somebody's dog or cat, let alone a human being. I don't want to see any of our loved ones getting sick because of deer ticks. That's just, to me, that's an avoidable and preventable situation. So I hope all of you will share my sentiment on the matter that we have to do a better job of managing wildlife. We have to do a better job of managing deer. And, having discussions and conversations about out-of-the-box ideas to help squelch it or even help the spread of disease. At a very minimum, I think it's a good conversation to have. Been already talking about the whole baiting idea and what could and could not be done and how would things work, just strictly from getting better high yield harvests, drawing deer into specific areas. So I think adding the caveat that you could have potential baits that also have like oral inoculants, similar to what you would do with a dog or cat. I think it's an interesting conversation. I think it's something to be discussed. I think it's something that for people to ponder about because, obviously I'm not trying to tip the scales or would I ever want to tip the scales with any wildlife. But in the same token, when you're seeing hundreds of ticks on one deer and then you're seeing hundreds of deer in a field, well, Houston, we have a problem. And I think that's where we're at right now is we've kind of let some of these things go to the point that they're so bad that they're now not only, let's do the math here. What's the negatives of over deer population? Well, first and foremost, you have crop damages, extreme crop damages. You have increased car crashes. You have then the risk of spread of disease. Spread of disease for today's conversation is ticks and I would even say fleas and other species, which then could be contracted or contacted and spread from your household pets to your loved ones. So I think there's a lot to be dissected here. There's a lot that needs to be, I would say, broken down and conversations that need to be had because it's not just about deer populations. I know we talk about, hunters want to go out and have a great time. I'm one of those people. But I also am compassionate towards I don't want to see anybody's pets die because of Lyme disease. I don't want to see any person contract Lyme disease. That's a terrible situation. And certainly I would never want to see anybody die because of Lyme disease. We have to just, I think, be more open-minded and caring and understand that when something's a problem, I think it's our moral and ethical responsibility as human beings so that, we share the space with wildlife. We have to figure out how to bring it back in balance. We've allowed the deer populations to just skyrocket in many parts of the state, and these are parts of the state that are very near or very close to urban areas, housing developments, business parks, schools, and that in turn creates health risks. So, I hope you all will consider what I'm saying and think about it. I understand there's not one solution to the problem, but it's with any problem. You first have to acknowledge you have a problem and then formulate solutions. So I know the Game Commission is doing a lot to try to do a better job of managing the deer herds. Clearly, that's not going to get fixed overnight. But I think this baiting idea and the thoughts of baiting and inoculants and different things, it's worth at a minimum a discussion. I think that is alone something that's worth trials, trying to do like different tests and different things, especially on deer farms. That makes a lot of sense to try to have like closed studies and see how it works with inoculating, ticks for sure. But that being said, I want to change to more of a happy topic. This has been a little bit of I guess we'll say a negative topic. Rifle season's right around the corner. I really hope that everybody is going to go out and participate in the pastime. I hope you're participating in archery right now. If you're not, my goodness, get out there. And the weather's almost perfect. It's in the 30s at night, 50s in the day. It's kind of perfect time. The deer can move all night and day, and they're not really bothered by the temperatures. So if you have the opportunity, please get out into a tree, a blind, a stand, whatever you have. Go enjoy the outdoors. But I wanted to talk about rifle seasons around the corner. Certainly a Pennsylvania tradition. And I wanted to bring up something I think is very, very, very important. A couple things preliminarily before you go hunting. I certainly hope that if you haven't done it yet, I hope you're going to go take your firearm and go to a local range, go to your hunting club, go to your farm, wherever, and do your due diligence and sight it in. And not only sight it in, but at whatever distances you plan on shooting, I hope you competently practice at those distances. You should not be shooting at 100 yards and assuming that you can automatically shoot 300 yards. It doesn't work that way. You need to practice. So do yourself a favor, not only for your own enjoyment of the hunt, but also for the safety of knowing where the bullet's traveling. And number 3, for the respect of the animal that you're attempting to harvest. You don't want to be wounding animals. Please take the time and make sure you're practicing between now and opening day. My goodness, please do not pull a gun out of a cabinet and dust is on it and go to the range and fire one shot and say, "Oh, I'm ready to go." Like that's just not being a good sportsman. You got to do a better job, if that's the case, of just taking a little time, going on the range, practice a little bit, shoot 10 shots if that's the case. But make sure you're confident with and confident. Confidence is one of the biggest things of hunting, which comes with practice. Just with my bow alone, when I harvested the deer, I knew exactly where I practiced. I've been practicing for basically a month. Every other day I'm outside shooting my bow a little bit, just practicing. And it's all about just that comfort level, feeling comfortable that when you go out there and boom, you pull whether you let the release go or you pull the trigger on your bow or your firearm, you know where it's going to hit. So it's very, very important going into rifle season that I ask each and every one of you, take the time and make sure whatever ammunition you're practicing with, that's the ammunition you're taking out into the field. Don't sell yourself short. Different ammos are different for every firearm. They come out of every firearm different. They fly, they travel, the speed, so on and so forth. So make sure whatever you're practicing with, that you use that same ammunition when you go out in the woods. The other thing I want to acknowledge is please make sure you take the time and have all of your clothes, all of your gear, all of your stuff prepared and ready to go. You should have everything laid out, from your light or your spotlight, your license, your a ballpoint pen, having obviously all your clothing, socks, you name it. You should have everything ready to rock and roll. In addition to that, depending on your hunting situation, I highly, highly recommend, if you have not went out and checked your tree stands, which you should have by now already, please take a day, which I would assume should not take you long, wherever you're going to be hunting on opening day. You need to go and check and make sure that it is safe. You need to make sure that your straps are working, that are holding your stands to the trees. Make sure your steps are still effectively working. Make sure your bow or your rifle rope that you're going to be pulling your firearm up with, making sure it's okay. There's many reasons why I'm saying all this. The whole goal is that you're able to go out into your spot safely, hunt safely, imagine a scenario you go out and I'm just going to say your gun rope. Let's say your gun rope is like dry rotted. You get your gun 3/4 of the way up to the tree and boom, the rope snaps. Down goes your gun, smashes off the ground, scope's dinged up. Can you imagine? Can you imagine how upset you would be? Imagine you get into the tree and your tree from last year, the stand is like now shifted a little bit because the tree grew. And you get up there and 2 of your straps are actually dry rotted. You go to sit down and you forgot your safety harness. Next thing you know, the strap snap. Boom, there you go, tumbling down to the ground. You could die. So I say all this not to be negative, but as a positive thing, because at the end of the day, you want to have you're going out to enjoy the outdoors for enjoyment, for your pleasure. It's your time. But do yourself the favor. Do the animals and the wildlife the favor. Do your fellow sportsmen. If you're hunting at a farm, it's just simply showing ethics and respect to the farmers, to the landowners. Just be a good avid outdoorsman. Preparation from your clothing to your gear to your safety, even to where, like, so opening day, like hypothetically, wherever you're going to park for rifle season, making sure you're parked where you're supposed to park. Make sure you're walking where you're supposed to walk. Making sure if you go through a gate, you close it. Whatever the landowner or whatever the person that gave you permission, if that's the case, make sure you are respectful of their wishes. Never take that lightly, because I think that's something that gets lost maybe sometimes too much. But, I want to see everybody have smiles on their faces, whether that's the last couple weeks here of archery season, which I'm really hopeful that the hunters out there are going to have tremendous success. Or if we're talking Pennsylvania opening rifle season, I'm really excited. I'm also really appreciative and thankful that we'll have the Sundays to hunt this year. I'm really humbled and proud to say that I was part of that with Pennsylvania Farm Bureau, and certainly I'm looking forward to not only a successful and I hope a very good harvest season with deer, but also I'm really looking forward to what the future holds in regards to the other changes that the Game Commission is going to be implementing because of all the positive relationships that have been built. So, I want you all to have fun. That's the moral of today. But to have fun equates to good preparation, good planning, having all your gear, checking everything for safety, and then last but not least, proper and ethical execution and fulfillment as an outdoorsman. And whether you're archery hunting over the next couple weeks or you're going out for the PA rifle season, I wish everybody nothing but the most fulfillment and success and joy and pleasure. And I want you all to have a great time. Just do yourself a favor. Do these little things. I've talked about them over and over and over again, but don't undervalue the little things. It's all about the little things for this all to be successful. So please do yourself a favor. Practice. Make sure all your stuff's working properly. Safety checks. Check all your gear. And I can assure you, you're not going to be disappointed. At the end of the day, you're going to be happy, smiling, and hopefully you get a wall hanger. And the last thing I want to say on the topic of deer hunting today is be a good conservationist, be a good steward of the land. We all need to harvest does. I know this has been a big topic. Obviously, I'm talking today about deer ticks. I understand everybody wants to shoot that big buck, but we got to get out there. We got to get the deer numbers back in check. Do Mother Nature a favor. Do your community a favor. Do your farming friends a favor. We need to shoot some deer. We need to get our populations back into check. And I just humbly ask everybody of that. For today, though, I want to wrap back to our sponsors, the Mariana Outdoorsman Association. Can join the MOA today at marianaoutdoors.com. If you join today, you get the rest of this year for free, along with all of next year. That is one heck of a deal. 1,000-yard rifle range, 2.5 miles private trout fishing, upland bird hunting, camping, trails, pistol ranges, clay pigeons, and so much more. So again, marianaoutdoors.com, marianaoutdoors.com. And as always, you can go to Mariana Outdoorsman Association at Facebook, MOA Outdoor channel on YouTube, and then you can also follow us on our different platforms of Anchor Radio, Anchor, and Spotify. Wild Acres Farm Fishery and Regulated Hunting Grounds, which is managed by 10 Mile Creek Outfitters. Got a lot to offer. Right now we got guided upland bird hunts, continental pheasant hunts, which are great fundraisers. We have deer hunts happening now, over rifle season, which I'm really excited about. I'm really looking forward to hopefully some successful hunts. We've got, we also have guided trout fishing trips. We're hosting weddings. Most of those have been happening from spring till fall. So if you're somebody looking for 100 to 300 person wedding, you're looking for a farm setting, we'd love to have you. 10mileco.org. You can give me a call at 724-579-0924. We'd love to have you. And as I said before, if you're just interested in just getting away, being at the farm, heck, you can even come out and help us with some of the upland birds and doing some of the chores around the farm. We'd love to have you. Wild Acres Farm Fishery and Regulated Hunting Grounds is actually listed on Vrbo and Airbnb. So if you don't want to go through the website of 10mileco.org, you can check out those other platforms. And last but not least, I would like to thank Washington County Tourism and Promotion Agency. Please visit Washington County, Pennsylvania. My final thought to all of you is please be safe over hunting season. Accidents can happen in the blink of an eye, so make sure you got your safety harnesses, make sure your bows are sighted in, make sure your rifles are sighted in, make sure you have you've checked your stands, make sure you've done all your due diligence. Please make sure your bow and gun ropes are good. Please make sure you got your licenses, pens, etc. Do the little things, and I can assure you on the back end, the big things will pay for themselves. I'm Jason White. This has been The Great Outdoors, and I'll talk to you all next week.